Philosophical Mysticism Simplified, Individuation 2. So part 2 of 3 for Individuation. And this is going to be talking about the personal unconscious and the Anima Animus. So the personal unconscious. So the third Jungian aspect is the personal unconscious. This contains all of a person's repressed or forgotten memories, as well as psychological complexes. And this is kind of familiar when people talk about getting therapy or something like that. We tend to think of like these repressed memories and so on. So it's this is a more familiar step, I think. The goal in individuation is to recover as much of this hidden content as possible. So everybody has like repressed memories and so on. You got to recover it. And this is pertinent because unconscious memories and complexes can influence behavior in unexpected ways. So as long as they're there hidden, they could influence you. They could cause you to project on other people. They could cause you to sort of evaluate the world in a certain way. So you have to bring these repressed memories, these repressed complexes, you got to bring them to the surface. If not, they're going to sort of influence your behavior without you really having to say or being aware of it. So in order to have more psychological agency, we need to bring the personal unconscious to the surface. Where the personal unconscious is just all of your repressed memories and psychological complexes. So we need to, in this process of individuation, this is the third step. You have to sort of dig deep and find your repressed memories, your sort of things that are hidden or sort of deep down in your mind. You got to bring them to the surface. And this is just part of the process. That being said, though, recovering the personal unconscious can involve, for some people, re-experiencing significant trauma or traumatic events, like from your childhood or something like that. So therefore, it's recommended that in pursuing this step of individuation, you do so with the help of a trained psychotherapist, rather than friends. So remember, like for the persona, your best bet is just to have your friends help you. But for this step, because it can result in significant harm, serious harm, you do want to sort of make use of a trained psychotherapist, because it's just a really very, very vulnerable thing to be dealing with, especially for certain people. The things that you probably repressed these memories for a reason. So yeah, do this step. If you make it to step 3, get through 1, 2, and you make it to step 3, use a psychotherapist, a trained psychotherapist. And this can mitigate and control trauma, sort of like when you're sort of getting through it, because it's a hard process. So it can sort of mitigate the trauma, control the trauma, as well as reduce confusion and emotional turmoil. It also allows for the utilization of advanced therapeutic techniques. So the sort of psychotherapists they know what to expect. They know what's involved in the process. They're there to help you. They have these techniques they could use. They know how to sort of keep you under control. Whereas like a friend, they might not know what to do. They might just be sort of, freaked out by what's coming out of you, or, uncomfortable dealing with you. So, for this step, for the personal unconscious, bringing it to the surface, do so with the psychotherapist. But then you got to do this step, because if you don't do this step in terms of individuation, these repressed memories, these psychological complexes are going to influence your behavior. And they're going to have control over you. You're going to be doing things you don't know why. You're going to be projecting on other people. You don't know why. The only way to stop this from happening is to bring these memories, these complexes, these feelings, is to bring this to the surface. All right, so that's the third step of individuation. bringing the personal unconscious to the surface. The fourth step is going to involve what Jung calls the anima and animus. So what you do is, it's important that you do this after step 3, the personal unconscious. It's important to do that first, because if not, you could run into some problems. But yeah, so after recovering as much of the personal unconscious as possible, I mean, it's nearly impossible to recover at all, but try to recover as much as you can in terms of, really being whole and sort of spiritually becoming sound. Spiritually, you want to sort of get as much as you can. But after we do this, we could then move on to the fourth Jungian aspect, the collective unconscious. So we were just talking about the personal unconscious. The next thing that's going to go a little deeper down is the collective unconscious. Within the collective unconscious are two important components: the anima animus and the shadow. In this video, we're talking about the anima animus. In the next video, in part 3 of individuation, we're going to be talking about the shadow. So let's just look at the anima animus here. So the anima animus, represents the feminine aspects of a man and the masculine aspects of a woman. In the process of individuation, we will need to draw out the opposite sex. So for Jung, everybody has both masculine and feminine aspects of them. It's just part of human nature. Every human person, every individual has both masculine and feminine aspects. In the process of individuation, because this is a big chunk of who you are, even though it's usually repressed, usually one sex will repress the opposite tendencies of the other sex. Usually, it's a big chunk of who you are. So for Jung, in this process of individuation, a big chunk of who you are is your masculine aspects if you're a woman, or your feminine aspects if you're a man. So you want to be able to draw this out. In discovering our anima or animus, we can make use of different archetypes to help us along. Again, see the video on archetypes, or learn more about Jung. So, for example, we may understand or appreciate femininity by looking at the general archetypes like the mother or maiden. Might also use more specific feminine archetypes like Pandora, or the Virgin Mary, or Joan of Arc, or Athena, to sort of better relate to women, if you're a man. From the other side, a woman may appeal to masculine archetypes like the father, or a hero, or Hercules, or Jesus, or Casanova, or Socrates, and sort of bringing out our masculine aspects of our psyche. And in comparing and opening oneself up to opposites, we become more whole. In terms of spiritual growth and becoming spiritually whole, you have to do this. Because like I said, for a man and for a woman, the bigger part is whatever you identify with, but there's still going to be a big chunk of you, a significant chunk of the psyche that's the opposite sex. And it's something you have to sort of come to terms with. This isn't saying, the really important though, this isn't saying that like you have to be like queer or bisexual or something like that. That you have two souls. No, it's not that at all. It has nothing at all to do with sexual orientation for you. Doesn't have to do with sexual orientation at all. Rather, it has to do with the fact that both masculine and feminine aspects are embedded in the human psyche itself. So within the human psyche itself, every person is going to have both of these things embedded. And likely they embedded long ago by evolutionary means. It's nothing new. It's likely was embedded a long time ago, evolutionarily. And just to be clear for Jung, nature doesn't just give us one. doesn't give us one aspect, it gives us both. So when we sort of inherit it, which we do, we inherit these traits, it doesn't just give us one trait or the other, it gives us both traits. Masculinity and femininity are real things for Jung. They're real. It's not just like your environment or your conditioning or something like that. Masculinity and femininity are real things. They're psychological traits. They're part of the different parts of the psyche that we inherit together. We get both. Of course, how we use it is up to us. How you want to use it is completely up to you. But ignoring our other half, or a significant chunk of us, will leave us spiritually deficient. So if you got this big chunk of your psyche, or even let's say a small chunk of your psyche that's feminine if you're a man, or masculine if you're a woman, and you completely ignore it, you're not fully developing as a person. You're going to be spiritually deficient because you're ignoring a part of yourself. And again, just like some of the other things we talked about, this is going to have an impact on your behavior. It's going to control you unconsciously. You're going to have you're going to sort of have these behavioral things that you're doing that you really don't understand or know why. It's going to sort of influence your behavior and how you perceive yourself without you understanding why. But if you could bring this chunk of yourself to the surface, you become more whole and you're less influenced by unconscious forces. So you should try to incorporate or somehow make sense of the other sex, the other half. I mean, it's there, whether we like it or not. You might as well include it. And you need to, at least in individuation, you got to do this, because this is masculine and feminine aspects are just part of the human psyche. It's part of human nature. And you got to be able to sort of work this out to sort of continue the process of individuation, to become whole, become a full self. Also, going a little further, if you want to sort of use this particular step, how it works, we could take it a little bit further than Jung proposed. So we can sort of take this same step, the sort of features of this step, and we could also use it in a different way than Jung proposed. We could also use this step to sort of make sense of our relation with otherness. We could sort of look at individuation here as representing a relation and reconciliation with otherness. Of course, if you're a man, your female side is other. If you're a female or woman, your male side is other. But we could sort of extend this and look at it more broadly and sort of be more thorough about this process. And we could sort of deal with the opposite, not as a different sex, but rather as a different racial group or ethnicity or social class. And we can sort of use archetypes here as well. And we can sort of use the same features of this step to sort of reconcile a relation with different types of otherness besides the opposite sex. And we can sort of come to terms with, our sort of reconciliation with, different social classes or races or ethnicities or whatever. And seeing ourselves in a different light, sort of accepting and sort of acknowledging and embracing otherness or opposites, if we sort of extend it this way, looking at it in this just sort of different light, it might be able to alleviate bias in the same way that discovering the anima, animus can alleviate sexism. So it's an interesting thing. I mean, it seems to go the other direction, but it's really not. By embracing the anima or animus, the opposite sex, you actually for Jung, it seems to be the case for a lot of people, it'll actually make you less sexist. Most sexism has to do with, sort of failure to reconcile with human nature. But if you're a man, you embrace the sort of feminine side, you're a woman, you embrace the masculine side, it can actually help alleviate sexism, and that's pretty clear. So one other feature of this process of individuation and of this step. And there's no reason we couldn't use it in a similar way, sort of looking at the other as a different race or ethnicity or social class. There's no reason we couldn't use this in the same way to also help alleviate bias. In the same way, we could use the Anima Animus to alleviate sexism. All right, so that's step 3, step 4, part 2 of individuation. Stay tuned for part 3, the next video.